Pleasure tonight to introduce to you Councilman Ramsey Takading, who not only is going to host tonight, but he was a speaker at our very first event 2 years ago. So Ramsey.
Great. Can you all hear me okay?
Sure.
Awesome. So before I came up, he's like, make sure to turn on the mic. Everyone forgets to turn on the mic. And I was like, I won't forget. And I walked up. He forgot the mic. So I'll just get it off to an awesome start. So my name is Ramsey. I'm very proud today to represent my colleagues on City Council, Mayor Mormon, Vice Mayor Henning, and welcome you to the 7th installment of Madeira Stories Live. Feels like yesterday I was presenting the person, so it's incredible. Since its founding in 2020, the Madeira Inclusion Committee has played an active role in helping our residents feel welcome and part of this great city. This series, under Tom's leadership, has become a critical pillar of that. Our city's motto is Great Lives Made Here. We'll hear today from 5 residents and how their neighborhoods are making this motto real every day. I hope that through these stories you can see why Madeira is so consistently rated as one of the top places to live and raise a family, and you can see yourself in these stories. So thank you for indulging some of my thoughts. Tom asked me to keep it short. I meet my commitments. With no further ado, I'd like to welcome up our first speaker. Apologies.
Heidi.
I know it's Heidi, but I don't remember your story name, and it's a cute
that's okay.
name.
Oh.
So the reason I wanted to get the paper was it's like the cutest name of a story. So I'm gonna look up Heidi. Heidi's lived in Kenwood Hills since 2003. She's a physical therapist at Mercy Hospital, and her story is titled The Great Egg Toss, or The Yoke's on You. You can see why I wanted to go back for the paper. I love that title. Thanks, Heidi.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. That's all right.
That's a little tall for her. Brutal.
There we go. Can you hear me? People have been asking me all day, what happened to you? Why are you on crutches? And all I can say is that you should see the other guy and the 2 that got away. That's all I can say. Anyway, my name is Heidi Welti, and I grew up on the west side of Cincinnati. Do we have any west siders here? Woohoo, west side is the best side. Okay, sorry, don't yell at me for that. But I grew up on a little dead-end street on the west side of town. And we probably had about 20 neighbors on that street, and everybody knew each other. This was the 60s and the 70s, which were a great time to grow up. And, you know, you couldn't get in trouble because you could get in trouble, but everybody was always watching out for everybody, which was a wonderful way to grow up. Then in the 90s, I moved to Finneytown, and then I was on a cul-de-sac, which is like an upscale dead-end street. So, and that was also a wonderful place. We started raising our kids there. We had about 9 houses on that street, and we knew everybody. Once again, you had potlucks sometimes together. You hung out in the cul-de-sac with your kids while they rode their bikes. And we spent Halloweens together. It was a wonderful neighborhood. But in 2003, we moved to Madeira, to the neighborhood of Kenwood Hills, and that was 2003 during the crazy real estate boom. I think it was just at the end where you bought stuff as quick as it was on the market. And we had no clue that Kenwood Hills was such a totally awesome neighborhood. But as I found out over the years, it actually is kind of like a dead-end street because there's only one way in and one way out. So, you know, neighbors walk their dogs around the circle. You know, you get to know all the dog walkers. I'm a cat person. We don't walk our cat. But there are about 140 houses in Kenwood Hills. And I remember thinking, well, I don't know how this can be a neighborhood. One thing that we have that's unique there, we have a neighborhood pool that was built at the same time that the neighborhood was built. And it's all run by volunteers. So if you have kids and they're using the pool, over time you get to know people because of that. And anyway, so I think we moved in 2003. In 2004, we attended the first Easter egg hunt. It was at McDonald's Commons. I don't know if it was the first one, but it was kind of like festival seating. It got ugly real quick. And it was awful. My kids were like 5, 3, and 1-ish, I think. So they were just toddling around, and, you know, the whistle blew, and they were run over by 7 and 8-year-olds, and they were crying, "Mommy, I didn't get an egg." So I'm like, okay, next year, I'm going to start an Easter egg hunt in our neighborhood, because in our old neighborhood in Finneytown, we had a little Easter egg hunt, and it was so much fun. People brought treats, and one lady did the eggs. So the following year, we probably had 10 kids, including mine and the 6 neighborhood kids right next to us. And we just did it in our front yard in plastic eggs and had a lovely time. So this past year, I filled 1,000 eggs. Now, I know, I think I must be a little Italian. I think all the food's going to run out or something. You know, you don't want to run out. And I never would want any child to not have their chocolate bunny or their egg. So, plus I love Easter candy, and there's a little bit for me and the eggs. But now we have it in the front and backyard, and I've gotten smarter as I've gotten older. The little guys are in the front yard, and like maybe 1, 2, and 3. And you know, once a 1-year-old gets an egg, they're like, "Ooh, look at this!" You know, they don't need more than that. And then we send the other guys out into the backyard in intervals, so nobody gets run over. Although they might, you know, a little bit, but not too bad. I lost my train of thought. That's all right. It'll come back. And since I know how many eggs we have, I do a head count in the beginning, so I can tell everybody you get 20 eggs or something, so everybody knows about, you know, the number of eggs they should get. So the things that can really affect us are the weather. And in the last 20 years, the only year we missed it was COVID, and everybody missed everything for COVID. But the weather in Cincinnati, as you know, can be kind of crazy and change on a dime. Normally, we don't have, if it drizzles, we still have the Easter egg hunt. And we've never missed a year, because everybody can wear boots and nobody's afraid of getting that wet. But one year, it was teeming down rain, just buckets and torrents and cats and dogs and everything. And so everybody gathered in the garage, and I had decided, because my husband looked at the radar, we have to have this inside. Now, hiding several hundred eggs inside is a challenge. But we did it. And the only things, I wouldn't let people go back into our bedrooms, because I'm like, that could be a nightmare. But they were in both bathrooms and everywhere. And what was hilarious, you know, everything went fine. The kids had a great time, and we were finding Easter eggs in the lampshades, in closets, under everything. It was, for months, we would find plastic eggs somewhere. The other times when it's been cold at Easter time, and like I said, we have it the day right before Easter, when it's been like freezing cold and everybody's in mittens, we'll have everybody come in the house, and then everybody runs outside, gets the eggs, and comes back in. So we always have a hunt no matter what. The one time, and again, sometimes it's hot outside and you're in the sun and it's blazing hot around Easter. And one year I made the executive decision to get like hollow Easter bunnies. You know, not the solid chocolate ones, hollow. And so we put them out like 15, 20 minutes before people get there.
Welti.
And these Easter bunnies were like mutant things. They were so sad looking. They were just collapsed on themselves and looked like Dawn of the Walking icky Easter bunny. But anyway, the kids probably took them home and ate them anyway, because they're kids. One of the other traditions that we started in this Easter egg hunt is I have 4 little bunny heads. And if you find a little bunny head, that sounds gross, doesn't it? But they're plastic. They're not like, you know. If you get a special bunny head, and I tell them all ahead of time, you come to me and you get to pick out a special prize out of the prize basket. And as my kids grew up and they kind of got too old for the Easter egg hunt, they would still help, but they would always find a special little one to maybe help them find that special prize. I won't advertise that too much. But you know, they would find a little guy that they just thought was so cute, and it was a magical thing. And then this little guy might find the special bunny head and would come up, "Miss Heidi, can I have a special prize?" Of course you can. So that's always fun. And kids will be running up to me saying, "Are all the bunny heads found?" Yes, they are. So my favorite part of the Easter egg hunt, though, and I was telling Tom about that, and that's the reason that one of the titles of this is "The Yoke's on You," is the egg toss. Now, we tried a couple things over the years, like an egg roll for the kids under 4, but they're so busy eating chocolate, they don't care. But the people of discerning character, like myself, who love to toss raw eggs, it is so much fun, so much fun. So what you do is you line up apart from your partner and just a couple feet apart, and you start and it could be parents with kids, little kids with little kids, older kids like 12, tossing it back and forth. And each time you have a successful toss, which means it doesn't break, you take a step back. So eventually people are from one side of the yard to the other, and they're hurling eggs. I'll tell you, don't throw it overhand, underhand, so you can come underneath and catch it. But I've had people accuse me of hard boiling eggs. I'm like, oh no, this is all raw. And eventually everybody gets it, whether you get, because on wet grass or moist grass, this stuff bounces forever. I mean, it'll bounce a couple times and you're like, is that really a raw egg? Yes, they're all raw. So it's just so much fun. And eventually, like I said, whether you get it smacked in your hands or we've had like one dad hit in the head, sorry. Didn't mean to, it was my niece who did it. And I don't think I could catch it, and it went over and whacked him in the head. So now we have like buckets of water and paper towels, which it took me a couple years to figure that out too. And again, that is my favorite thing of the egg hunt every year. And even if you have little kids who maybe have not moved more than a couple feet apart and they're the ones who have the egg left, nobody picks on them and says, you should have been further apart. They're the winners. And there's such joy in being the winner of the egg toss. I have never won the egg toss, but maybe one year I will. And one year we had a fair number. I must have bought a couple 18 counts. So the teenagers finished up by throwing them at the oak tree. That was awesome, but with the expense this year, we won't have extra eggs. I can tell you that. Well, that would not work out. But what I've noticed about the Easter egg hunt, I've had little kids go by the house and there's where the Easter bunny lives. I find it so much fun to have. And kids, as they get older, they still remember coming to it. And I've had teenagers talk to me about it. And well, teenagers don't usually talk, but it's a good memory for them. And the reason I keep doing it, not only do I love that egg toss, but I just love having the community, the neighborhood get together and do something for fun, and parents meet parents, moms meet moms, kids meet kids. And to me, that's one of the things that makes a neighborhood neighborhoody. And that's what brings me joy. And so my plan is to do it as many years as I can. So that is my story. And thank you.
Oh. You ready for it? All right. Thank you so much, Heidi. Oh, sorry. Height adjustment. So my couple favorite highlights and nuggets from the story. One of my favorite parts was when Heidi mentioned she lives in Kenwood Hills. The cheer that came from Indy up front here as a Kenwood Hills kid, and I'm sure egg tosser, was really fun. Great to see. And I'll be honest, I didn't realize I was introducing the Kenwood Hills Easter Bunny. I've heard about this story. I live across the street. I've heard about this. It's a legend over there. And then the last nugget I took away is the most discerning characters throw raw eggs. I mean, this is like an absolute truth that came from this story. Thank you so much, Heidi. Our second storyteller tonight is Scott Gohus. Scott lives over on Jeweler Avenue, moved there in 2023 as a senior project manager at Kroger's, and his story is The Great Pumpkin Invasion.
Gotta get the props.
Oh, I should have bought eggs.
Heidi, I was gonna say, I'm glad you didn't bring props tonight. Thank you.
We could have thrown eggs at him.
Precisely. Did you give me the cue? All right. Well, first I want to say thanks for everybody being here. I thought with it being so beautiful outside, nobody would be here. And then I thought, why aren't we having this outside, right? But I'm not going to second guess because I've also noticed Ohio weather can be a little temperamental. So that's new to me. When I grew up in Chicago. And when I was 7 years old, my family moved to Arizona. And in sharing that with me, they said, hey, we're moving to Arizona. It's the Southwest, it's the desert. I'm like, seriously, we're moving to a desert? Visions of 5-mile walks through the sand to my nearest neighbor's house came to mind. So I asked my parents, well, if we're gonna do this, you at least owe me, you need to get me an ATV, right? And I'll spoil it, I never got that ATV because when we got there, it looked like every other neighborhood, right? For those who have been to Arizona, it's not the middle of the desert. It's not sand everywhere. And I think I was more relieved at that, although I was disappointed to never get that ATV. Growing up there, I lived from 7 until about a year and a half ago, I lived in Arizona. And growing up there, the neighborhood that we landed in for most of my life was this great community. And with my parents, we all did things together. We did dine-arounds. We did camping trips together. We would go on road trips together. And there was always somebody at someone else's house. And we all kind of watched over each other. And it was just a great community. And so as I grew up, as I became an adult, I bought my first home expecting the same sort of experience. I didn't have that. It was neighbors who kind of a little standoffish. Maybe it was me, but they kept their distance. And so then I moved again, same experience. Again, now I'm really thinking it's me. Moved again, mixed success. And then I moved into a neighborhood just before coming here. It's a suburb of Phoenix called Arcadia. And it was this tiny little, like a dead-end street. And I thought, it's do or die now. So 25 houses. I've got now she's 16. At the time, she was around 10 or 12 years old. We would do, every year we would do a Christmas craft project. And every year we would come up with something different. And it was things like hot cocoa jars or stuffed animals, these huge stuffed animals that I used to get through the company I worked for. And we would go to all the neighbors and they all had kids. And so it was very fun. And my daughter and I would go to everybody's house and Merry Christmas, here's a gift for you. You know, we were trying to engage with all of these neighbors, these 25 neighbors. My daughter plays lacrosse. We would throw a lacrosse ball in the front yard. We'd wave as people go by. And with that, we would be met with the neighbors, keep driving, don't slow down. They pull into their garage door goes down, and then they get out of their car. I was like, man, it is really tough to make a connection here. And so, I got to a point where decided if I'm ever going to leave Arizona, now's the time. And very randomly, we ended up in Cincinnati. My daughter and I had never visited here. I didn't have a job, no family. I knew not one person, but here we ended up. And you can imagine going into a new city, what it's like trying to find where do you want to live? Where do you want to lay down roots? And again, with my daughter, this is a even bigger decision because this is her high school days, right? Where she goes, I can't just pick up because I don't like it in 6 months. So we really had to make a tough decision. And fortunately, I met one of my best friends who is here supporting me tonight, Laura. And she, being from Cincinnati, knows everything about everywhere. And so she was so kind to help me find where to go. And so we narrowed it down to 4 places. Loveland, Marymount, Anderson Township. Apparently that's a little taken like the west side sometimes, I think. Yeah. And Madeira. And so it came to one day, we had found a place in Anderson. It was fine. We went and looked at the high school there. Fine. But there was another house that had just come on the market the night before. I saw the picture. I'm like, oh, everybody is going to want this house. And I told my daughter after we looked at the one in Anderson, and I said, look, we have to go look at this other house. We are not going to get it. I don't even want to have a conversation about it, but I need to see it just to check it off the list. She's like, yeah, fine. So we go walk through this house, and within, also, I guess I should back up. In Arizona, every house is very cookie cutter. They're all tract homes. You get one of 4 designs. You get one of 3 palette choices of colors. It's the same. So coming here to see all this uniqueness, to see a different style of house was mind-blowing for us. And then we saw this house, and it was so cute and different than anything we had ever experienced. My daughter and I walked through, and I remember vividly standing in the driveway just going, I guess this is going to be our house. So we eventually were able to convince them to sell it to us. And so that led us and put us on Jeweler Avenue. And so moving day came, and I had all of our stuff in a container, shipping container, and my daughter and I, not knowing anybody, are unloading this container by ourselves. Again, she's 14 at the time. And I'm explaining to her, all right, keep your back straight, lift with your legs. Like, we're taking heavy things at this point. And one of the neighbors across the street, who I've never met, comes running over. His name is Scott. I was running over, hey, let me give you a hand with that. I'm like, that's awesome. My name's Scott. Hey, I'm Scott too. Great. And so he helps me in the house with that. And off he goes to do his own thing. We continue doing boxes. The next day, we're doing it again. Had a heavy desk. And again, going through the same thing with my daughter. Remember from yesterday, we don't have Scott to run over here today. And she's about to do it. And another neighbor comes running over, Sean. Hey, let me give you a hand with that. So he picks it up, and we take it into the house. And like, hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. The next day, now we've got everything in the house. I get a ring on the doorbell, open the door, and it's another neighbor, Tracy. And Tracy Causey and Jeff, for those who know. And hey, I'm your neighbor. I'd like to put together a get together so you can meet everybody and everybody can meet you, and we'll just have it in the front yard. And I'm like, what is happening here? Where am I? Like, fantastic. So probably 2 hours, all the neighbors came over, and we just had a great time meeting everybody all at once. I immediately forgot everyone's names, but I did do my best. And so it was such a unique experience. So then this is June. By the time Christmas comes, I start to know the neighbors a little bit, and that's when I know John, who is our videographer here, and his lovely wife, Ashley, who then invite me to a Christmas party. I'm like, they know I know no one, so I'm like, fantastic. So off we go to this Christmas party, and while we're coming back, John's wife, Ashley, mentions that another neighborhood has coordinated to do these blow-up Santas. I don't know which neighborhood it is, and I couldn't find it if you told me to try and find it. But one of the neighborhoods around here coordinates and does this. And I thought, that's such a great idea. Like, we have such a great street. Why aren't we doing something like that? So that's when the idea was born to do our next craft project. It ended up being Halloween, creating these light up pumpkins. And so this was a homemade project where, if I can get it, it's just a simple landscape light. Then the cheap trick-or-treat pumpkin, and you cut the handles off and stick it on, and then put some gaskets to hold it all together. And then it's solar powered, so it lights up. And then one night, we made I'd say about 10 of these. And to the neighbors that I knew, we just went and at night put them in their yard. So they woke up to them the next morning, which was great. And I wanted to do it anonymously. And so then I started hearing from people who did know that it was me. Hey, another neighbor down the street really would love one of those. Can you tell them where you bought them? I'm like, yeah, these are homemade. So I ran back to Menards and bought the rest of these lights that they had, went back to Walmart and got more of these, powered back up the assembly line, got more going, and then again went to our neighbors. So by the end, we ended up having probably, I think it was 20 of them in the end as you would come onto our street. And at night, we put them in a very specific location. So as you would look down the street, it was this nice, almost runway look of these little pumpkins out there.
It's great.
And so I don't know if it's Ohio, if it's Madeira, or if it's Jeweler. All I know is we landed in the right place. And I think we finally found what we were looking for in all these other places. We just had to travel across the country to find it. And I will add one more thing. To continue that, we are planning a block party. It's still in process, but July the 20th, it's a Sunday. I'm a big music fan, and so I'm bringing an artist up from Nashville to do what I'm calling the Tiny Porch Concert. So they're going to play on the porch. We're going to block off the street, all the neighbors. We're going to have a block party with the bands playing. But I wanted to make it more than just our street, because as I've met some of the people here, they're like, oh, our street doesn't do things like that. And so our street isn't reserved for just us. Like, it's all of us. And so I invite everybody here. I'll try to get that word out, but this is the first attempt, and now I'm committed to having to do this. So with that, yes, July 20th from 6 to 10, we'll be doing that. So put that in your calendars. All right.
Scott. Thank you so much, Scott. There's a lot of really cool stuff to take away from that. But the thing I was reflecting on when I saw that is, like, with the story that Scott brought, that is the norm around here. We all have those stories. It is not the exception. It isn't just Jeweler. It is at a Madeira. I don't know if it's more than Madeira, but I know for sure it is Madeira. And the thing that makes that happen is it's a choice we need to make every day. That choice to lend a hand when a neighbor's moving in, the choice to bring over some cookies, or even just wave when someone's driving by. Every time you do that, you make this place just a little better. And when we all do that, we make this place really great. And Scott, we're so glad that you made it here. Right? Make sure to tell Mayor Mormon I am on equity, please. Dead on equity. Our third story tonight, is Jim Schlachter. He moved to Summit Avenue in 1991, ran his own business here in Madeira, dealing with retirement planning administration, and decided to take his own advice and retire. So he is living his truth now. His story is called A Halloween Tale. Right.
Good evening. I have two short stories. In 1991, my current husband, David Meredith, and I moved to Madeira. Thank you. Previously, he was living in Oxford, Ohio, and I was living in downtown Cincinnati in a high-rise apartment building. We were an early 30s gay couple purchasing their first home together in a predominantly Republican suburb of Cincinnati. What could go wrong? What could be scary about that? To say the least, our neighbors were curious about us. Most were friendly. After a couple of years, David had the great idea of inviting over some of the neighbors. We decided to offer them chili on Halloween after trick-or-treating was finished. I, too, thought it was a good idea to invite the neighbors. We could show them that we were just a normal couple. Maybe I wanted to dispel the rumors that we had a disco ball hanging in our living room, or that the interior looked like Pee-wee's Playhouse or Barbie's Malibu Mansion. We were not that scary, even on Halloween. Well, they came. Some were a little hesitant. No one before had hosted a gathering in the neighborhood. But after a while, and a glass of wine, or a cup of spiced cider, they loosened up. Most of the partygoers had been in Madeira for a long time. They had a shared history, and this gave them the opportunity to catch up and gossip. And that is how it started. For several years, we had the party at our house. Then other neighbors started to host the parties, but always we brought the Halloween chili. People even asked for the recipe. Post-COVID, it has been back to our house for the last few years. Sadly, a few of the original group are no longer around, but the ones that are here still come. The demographics of the group has changed. When we first started, we invited 8 households. The number is now 18. Several families with small children are now in the neighborhood. All the neighbors are invited. It's difficult for the young couples with kids. Usually one of them has to stay home or they tag team, and so that they both can attend at some point. And just a note, cautionary, if you're going to host one of these things, keep the political conversation to a minimum. Due to the number attending now, we ask that everyone wear a name tag. It really helps people to reach out to someone they only say hi to when they walk by. This way they can put a name with a face, and that hi may lead to more conversations. I think these gatherings have helped foster a sense of community in our little part of Madeira. For example, last year in the summer, a young woman moved fairly close to our house. When I took her the flyer inviting her to the chili party, she was shocked. She said in her last neighborhood, none of the neighbors spoke to each other. They would come home, pull into their garages, close the door. But in our neighborhood, she was grateful to be invited. She came to the party and had a great time. The day will come when we won't be able to attend, but I hope the Halloween chili party will live on at Summit and Southside. So my second story is more on a personal level. I believe the theme of the Madeira Stories Live is neighborhood gatherings. The second story is related to that theme, sort of. Shortly after we moved to Madeira, I moved my business to downtown Madeira over here by the Kroger's parking lot. That allowed me to walk home and to walk to work and even walk home for lunch. It was great. Very often on my evening walk home, waddling up some south side, I would pass the house of the old longtime mayor of Madeira. He would be sitting out on his front porch. And just as a courtesy, I would say hi. Never got a response. So I assumed at first that since he was older, he just didn't hear me. So I started speaking up louder as I walked past. I'd say hi. Still nothing. Then one evening, he wasn't out on his front porch, but his wife was, and I said hi to her. And she said hi back and even gave me a little wave. Then it finally dawned on me. He could hear me, but he chose not to respond, and I wondered why. I hadn't spoken to him, so it couldn't have been something I said. I thought of many reasons, some of them obvious, like maybe the 2 gay guys that moved in across the street. So I did the next logical thing. I got mad. I fumed for a while, but then I realized that I had experienced things like this before, and I just had to find a better way to deal with it. So my way of dealing with it was to make a conscious effort to speak to anyone that came by our house. Our neighbors that are here this evening know that I like to work in my lawn and garden. Anybody that walks by, be it a single person with their dog or a couple out for a walk after evening dinner, and even joggers, I always make an effort to say hi. Actually, I say howdy. I don't know why I say howdy, but that's what I do. Both say hi back. Some stop and talk about my garden or the weather or trying to decide what exact shade of orange our house is. And there's still some that don't respond. For those people, I give them an either even louder howdy. Some of my neighbors may get annoyed with me, John, because if they're outside, I'll walk over and say hi and ask if all is well. I have great neighbors. They tolerate me well, and I do so enjoy chatting with them. For the old mayor, in a way I owe him. I'm not sure I would have made the effort if he hadn't been the way he was. For 20 years, from the day we moved in until the day he moved out, he never spoke to us.
Wow.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you to all our neighbors who said hi.
Ding the family. Come here.
Thank you so much, Jim. I love the idea of mandatory name tags. We've got in Madeira, it's like you kind of know everyone. So like I've got the Madeira School Foundation auction Saturday, and we've got the father-daughter dance Friday, and everyone, hey guy, how you doing, pal? How you been? It's been a while. So I think, yeah, exactly. It's I'm going to introduce an ordinance for mandatory name tags at all events, more than 50 people in Madeira. And I love the very end of the story. We talk a lot about make lemons into lemonade. This idea of like take a bad situation and make it good. But what a great example of having that, recognition that I wouldn't be doing this great thing if it wasn't for this bad thing. And that perspective is amazing, Jim, and really appreciate you taking the time to share with us. So our fourth storyteller tonight is Charlie Richie. He is a fellow P&Gite, so go Procter by Tide and help his retirement stock, please. So he retired from P&G. He's been living on Mingo for the past 30 years. He works as a consultant now in the tech startup in the robotics space, and his story is the Great Madeira Hurricane of 2008.
Just wondering about focal length and got to get the microphone. Yeah, I can do it all. You're right. Charlie Richie, the Great Hurricane. If anyone was here or in Cincinnati or especially Madeira back in 2008, you all remember the name Ike and Hurricane Ike. So that hit us all. As you remember, the power went out for 3 or 4 days for most of us. And it was fun for a couple days and not so fun maybe by the third day. And I remember my lovely wife, who's here, and our super gregarious neighbor, Patty. And raise your hand if you don't know Patty Cochran. She's everywhere. But the two of them went out on like day 3 when everyone's, freezers were thawing, meat is going bad, and spoiling meat is a great motivator. And they said, hey, come to our driveway. We will have grills out, and we will make whatever meat you bring us hot. And so that was it was just a fun day. It's a great story. We had a lot of laughs. And I think then that could be like the end of the story. But in a way, I think it was actually the beginning of the story. And the part that was made it special is we put up, I don't know, I assume Natalie, because she's smarter, but put a tablet of paper out and said, hey, put your name, your email, maybe a phone number, if you're interested in doing something more like this. And so that's how we get and to me, Ike was like a benchmark in my life about when our neighborhood became more of a community. And so that was a fun event, of course. And then based on that email list and then running around with email lists and paper flyers, we've done a whole bunch of other things. So I'm on Charlie Richie's reminder, and I'm on North Mingo, and kind of the North and South Mingo and Shawango kind of form a community. And we have a Timberlanian who's honorary member back there, I see. And so we call ourselves the Shamingoans or Shamingonistas, and I've come up with about a dozen of those kind of names. But let me tell you about some of the things we've done, kind of, with that email list, but also with this burgeoning sense of community. So the first one is like block party. Say it's a staple, right? And ours were always good. I think but it's like these things went on till past midnight. I mean, it's fun. We got movies for the kids, and it's a real thing. And especially Shawango, as you may know, is a bit of a cut through. And so we have these block parties, and all these people showed up because they were having fun in their backyards, but now they're having fun, front yards or at the block party. So One special event was Ed Sams, his dad. He's from Madeira. His dad grew up here too, I think. Always had the story of when they used to have soapbox derbies, and I believe Tom said it was like it's down Euclid, right? The police would block traffic both directions, and the kids would fly down on their soapbox derby, on soapbox buggies, whatever, go-karts. And anyway, so we wanted to recreate that. South Mingo had just been paved, nice and smooth, and so we said, let's do it. So we had kind of like, here's the kit, you go buy it, Harbor Freight, to make sure everyone has kind of the same vehicle. And some people got it, who like, dress your cart up silly was really the idea. Occasionally, some people were really trying to win, but basically it was how fast did the kid behind you push was the differentiator on who won. Lots of scrapes, lots of bruises, and no broken bones and no lawsuits. So huge success. Soapbox Derby, recommend it. Wear a helmet. Then the other thing that's kind of like substantial, we always do every Thursday in summertime, we have Thirst Day. It sounds like Thursday, but it serves an extra T, or Thirsty Thursday. So we get together and we kind of have a sign-up sheet, and someone takes a given Thursday, signs up for this date, that date, the next date, and we pretty much in our Shamingo loop have a Thursday 6:30 happy hour, and it kind of goes until it stops. And that's been a great source. People, I'm always surprised, like, do people still show up for this? And yes, they do. We put a sign out in the front yard, in case you don't have an email, whatever, but then sign in the front yard, and that announces it, say, on Monday to get there on Thursday, and the next host, takes it home with them for the next week. So it's been a great tradition. Other thing we've done is the tie-dye parties, the Wagners. I don't know if anyone knows the Wagners on North Mingo, but they had a uncle in New Mexico, I think a professor, who always had tie-dye parties. So they wanted to recreate that tradition here in Madeira. And so they have a tie-dye party every year. And it takes a ton of effort from them. They put up, man, it's a real ton of work, but a great sense of community. You're kind of crafting something most people have never done before. And it's a sense of fun. And there's a lot of tie-dye in the Shamingo area. So, and a more, somber note, we had a neighbor was going through really life-threatening, he was could die. So his wife sent a note to everyone, please pray for, my husband, keep him in your prayers, thoughts. Of course, food trains get going and just words of concern and hugs for her and now good news, he's fine and ridiculously fine. He's never stops doing yard work. So that's anyway, so it's a great vehicle for that sense of community and care. And now back to hurricanes. Hurricane hit, I forget what years, I think I wrote them down here, but hurricane hit Houston in 19. And then remember the tornadoes really decked western Kentucky. A couple times I've just sent a note out to our group, said, hey, it's Monday and I'm going to go to Matthew 25 Ministries. Here's the list of things they'll bring if you bring it. So Monday goes by, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. I come home Wednesday, oh my gosh, my pickup truck could barely make it. We could barely haul it all, both times. So it's just really great sense of folks in our neighborhood. So, one that's the pumpkins. We have some neighbors who just quietly go around every 4th of July, and you almost got to find out who they are. They walk around with their kids in a wagon full of American flags and just post them in front of every single driveway. It just quietly, they don't ever ask for contributions or credit or acclaim, but they do that every year. That's great. And the thing that I've kind of outsourced to the next generation, a lot of these things we've just talked about, but one thing I still like doing is Christmas caroling. So we do it usually the Saturday you're taking my idea. I saw that.
We have it.
Oh, you're doing it. Okay, good.
That's too.
Okay.
I didn't know there was anybody else
Yeah.
did it because it's so old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So we used to do the really old-fashioned where we walk around the neighborhood, and then we eventually realized no one's answering the door, and then COVID hit, and it's really no one's answering the door. And then one year was super duper cold, so let's have the heaters and the fire pits going, and we'll stay warm. So we've kind of gone from a roving caroling to just in our driveway. And to me, it's usually about roughly almost the darkest day of the year, December 20-something. And it really brightens the day, it brightens my mood, kicks off the Christmas season for us. So I've outsourced or I've kind of passed on the baton to a lot of people, but that's one I'm keeping it for a while. So yeah, close by, our email list is not all about the list, but it's like 200 people. Most of them are the Shamingo folks, but we've got people from all over who've moved away or just have always just been friends and are always invited back. My wife and I, when we walk the loop, if I come back in 15 minutes, I didn't bump into anybody. If I come back in 45, she asks, who'd you see and what's new with them? So, and one other thing is this kind of, in our Thirsty Thursday email, I've always put this little quote at the bottom of it, and it's from Winston Churchill, and it says, we shape our dwellings, and afterwards our dwellings shape us. And I thought that's a great way. Like, you put the effort into your community will reward you by helping shape that positive feedback will definitely come back to you. So lastly, I bet apparently a lot of other neighborhoods know they have a great neighborhood, but I think some folks are probably doing the wave. Here comes the blue van. I just waved to them. I don't know anything about them. But don't wait for a hurricane to smack in your neighborhood to find out you also have great neighbors. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Charlie. I think I can reasonably say that driveway full of grills cooking all the meat is probably the best smelling house in the history of Madeira. So we know it was 2008 on Mingo. A couple nuggets for me I've taken away. As the chair of public works, I need to make sure our paving spec allows for soapbox derbies. I'll look into that. I don't know what that entails exactly, but critical safety feature there. And then second, when I'm up for election, make sure to canvass Mingo on Thursday night. So you will see me on Thursday night, knocking on the doors and making sure to spend a little extra time at the happy hour location. So I got very actionable nuggets from Charlie for me. So our final story time tonight is Abby Graham. She lives on Iuka in 2007. She moved to Iuka in 2007. She's a paraeducator at Indian Hill Primary School. I know Abby because she's also one of the queens of youth soccer. Super grateful for all her volunteer work there. And her story is entitled Large Trash Day Adventures.
All right. Wait for my cue. All right. Not everyone comes, talking about large trash pickup day. It has been one of my favorite days in Madeira since I moved in. I moved in, I remembered I just moved in, I was putting stuff out to the curb, and these people would just come by, and I was like, this is amazing. And then as I started watching, it became like my favorite night of the year. I would see the pickers come through with their mounds of trash. And I'm like, how are they going to fit a bicycle up there? And so year after year, I would text my parents, who wants to come over for large trash pickup day? And they're like, you're just watching the pickers. I'm like, it's my favorite night of the year. I didn't think it could get any better than that. I mean, getting rid of the trash is fun, but it was actually more fun for me to just watch the people drive through. I mean, there were walkie-talkies, they're the scouts coming through. And I didn't think it could get any better until I found some neighbors that also thought it was their favorite night of the year. And they invited us over and they're like, we're gonna sit in the driveway and watch. I was like, this is amazing. So I went down there, we packed up our cooler, of course, our chairs, take the kids, and we're like, we're going down the street to watch large trash pickup night this year. So we'll time the people that come through, we'll time, how long do you think this is gonna last at the curb? And so we'll place bets on whose item lasts at the curb the longest. One time someone was throwing away a basketball hoop. And so we were like, well, let's take the basketball hoop. And we put it out. The kids play basketball all night. And then the next morning, it's gone. We don't even have to worry about it. One night we were sitting out and our neighbors come walking down the street. And there's two of them walking down the street with a table. And we're like, what is going on? They're like, well, my daughter needs a table. We're like, well, we need a table for tonight at our large trash pickup night party. So we put the table out and we all sit around the table. And then at the end of the night, they take it home and give it to their daughter. And then we also found someone was getting rid of a box of Barbies. And yep. So I think this kind of flashed back to my high school and college days when I loved toilet paper in people's houses. And so it kind of went to we had this box of Barbies, and one of our neighbors was out of town. So not only did they miss all the fun of large trash pickup night, but their backyard was wide open. So we're all sitting, the adults are all sitting around, watching the pickers, and we're like, hey, kids, everyone, take these Barbies down, and you can make like a Barbie dream house in the Brunings' backyards. We're like, go down to the Brunings, take the Barbies. So they basically created a Barbie dream house in their backyard. And I'm pretty sure to this day, they're still finding Barbie pieces, and they're like soccer goals, they're bushes, they're everywhere. They weren't too happy, but we thought it was like the funniest thing in the whole world. So joining my neighbors in some type of a, large trash pickup day or any type of event, honestly, like 5 years ago would not have even crossed my mind. When I moved to Madeira in 2007, I knew no one. I had people that would give me a hard time, like, why are you moving to Madeira? Like, what are you doing there? It's just, a bunch of people not your age. And I was like, it's a safe neighborhood. I am single with my dog and my cat, and we're going to go there and have a great time. So slowly, I met my husband, we met neighbors across the street. Well, then those neighbors would move away, so I'd have to meet new neighbors. And I would drive down the Mingos, and I'm like, oh, what a great street. I'm like, they have Thirsty Thursdays. We don't do anything. And then I would drive down Maple Leaf, and they also do a Thirsty Thursday. And I was like, oh, I want to live on one of these streets. I'm like, but I'm not going to move anywhere. So I finally met another neighbor that moved in, and she and I kind of shared this similar dream of having a street that did things like that. So in 2019, pre-COVID, no idea what's coming up, we decided we are going to make this a good street. So we started our own weekly street gatherings. We picked a day of the week. We decided to go with Wednesday because on our street, the people that host or that run the farmers market live on our street. And I was like, that's not very nice to do it on Thursday. So I was like, let's do Wednesdays. So we picked Wednesday. We found a logo online, and we made some flyers, some paper flyers. We started a Facebook page. We put our Facebook page on the flyers, and I handed some flyers to the kids, and we hit every single house on the street. We have maybe 75 houses. So we hit, the young, the old, the wallflowers, everyone got a flyer, because I said, if they don't have Facebook, they're not going to know who we are. And we wanted everyone to feel that they were welcome, that we were going to have this, street gathering like the Mingos. We wanted to be like Charlie's Street. So that Wednesday, we had our first Wednesday watering hole, and we put the sign in the Brunings' front yard, the one that since has had the Barbies in their backyard. We put the sign in their front yard. We put out a table. We put out some chips, some pretzels, some water. We sat out some chairs, and we just sat there and waited. And slowly people started coming to our first Wednesday watering hole gathering. And that was the very first one we had. Since then, we started moving it. So we rotate it like the Mingos do. We rotate it to different houses. And we did find that by rotating it, people that might not have otherwise come will come if it's right next door. Like, you can't not come. If you drive home, you pull in your garage. Even if you want to shut the garage, they're sitting in your front yard, basically. Like, our houses are close together. You can't get away from that. So people had to come. And so the more we moved it, the more people would come. We also do name tags, because most people, I can't remember everyone's name, but I also feel like if I met you last week, I want to be able to address you by name next week, even if I've forgotten it. So the name tags have been really helpful. We still do our Wednesday watering hole. We did it all through COVID. We sat really far apart. And honestly, COVID was my favorite time because no one had anywhere to be. So our watering holes would go until 10, 11 at night. And it was just the most fun. My favorite during COVID was when the Mad Tree truck came, coming down the street, and they were delivering beer. It was like an ice cream truck, but for adults. It was really fun. We were all out there waiting in line. So that was really fun. But since then, not only do we have our Wednesday watering hole, we also do a block party. We haven't had a band yet, but maybe one day we'll get a band. Where did Scott go? Yes, hopefully one day Scott will get a band. We do now walking pub crawls, so we'll organize a pub crawl, and we can walk everywhere in Madeira, so we don't have to drive. So we all meet at someone's house, and we walk, and we go to all the restaurants in Madeira, and then eventually make our way home. We do an annual chili cook-off in October, November-ish, and everyone brings some chili. we now do euchre nights and game nights. And we have honestly, in the last 5 years, created more memories than I can even count. And the kids have now become such good friends because we have started doing this. None of the kids really even knew that there were other kids on the street until we started doing this. And now it's like they just, they come home from school, and the minute they come home, they're out, they're down the street. We all know each other. They're in somebody's backyard. When we're doing watering hole, they are playing tag. They're playing ghost in the graveyard. They're playing soccer in somebody's backyard. Hide and go seek, we get glow necklaces. We have so many pictures with glow necklaces and all of them playing. And then when we do game nights, the kids will all go to some, in the basement, and they'll watch a movie and eat pizza together. Other days, they're riding their scooters up and down the streets and playing basketball and frisbee and tennis. And it's so nice that I feel like the kids have created lifelong friends, as have we. So I will say that because we have started this, I am so grateful for all of my neighbors who have now turned friends. I would wager to guess that we have one of the best streets in Madeira, even though it's got the worst name. But it is still a fantastic street, and anyone driving down on a Wednesday afternoon, usually Memorial Day through Labor Day, is welcome to join one of our watering holes. Ayuka. The street name is Ayuka with an I, not an L. It's terrible. It's terrible. Thomas, Rita, Ayuka, Osceola.
Yep. If you're going down Camargo on the way towards.
Yeah, but you can't get there from like any other street. Yeah.
Awesome. I did not realize that large item pickup day spectating was a thing. I love it. Absolutely love it. So new hobby. Thank you, Abby. I'll head to your house for large item pickup day. I do think that as a city, this is probably one of the biggest scams we put on our citizens, that we claim like it's a service we're providing. I swear they don't fill a truck like of stuff that's actually still left after the pay. It's mostly just we advertise so people come pick it up, and we say like we did it, and like we kind of like don't tell Mike, our city manager, I said that. They did great. And the thing, my little nugget from Abby is like, let's make our street the fun street. Like, what a cool idea, right? It's a fun street because you make it that way. Not, you don't move into one, you create it every day. So love it, love it, love it. I want to take a moment and say thank you again to all 5 of our amazing speakers. There's all kinds of stats about what people fear more than public speaking, and public speaking is always the top of the list. So it takes huge courage, bravery to stand up in front of your neighbors, show vulnerability, and come out here and do this. I also want to give a huge thank to Traditions for hosting us. So thank you, Traditions. Traditions has been an incredible partner for the city. They partner with their senior commission, and they help host events, and they're incredible partners in this, and we are super grateful for everything they do for us. So I'll turn it back over to Tom to close this out. But you have my thanks, you have council's thanks for joining, and thank you again.
All right, so thanks so much for coming out. And I want to say right now that I'm moving to one of those streets we heard about tonight, because our street doesn't do those things. This has been really encouraging to hear about the wonderful things going on in Madeira tonight. I just love it. I want to tell you that we have a very special gift tonight. Busalas Bakery in Kenwood has donated a lot of really yummy stuff in the back. When we're done here, I really encourage you to go back and get some of that stuff. It looks absolutely delicious, and they have a great reputation. So we're so happy that they've come into our neighborhood and supported us today. On your chair, you have a survey that would be very helpful if you would fill that out. It helps us understand whether you like what we're doing, gives us ideas for what other topics you like to hear in the future. And if you want to know about our future events, you can put your email address on there. And if you're sitting there without any way to write your name, there's pencils on the table back where you got your name tag. So we can do all that. Appreciate it. I want to thank everybody who helped plan tonight, particularly the committee that actually works on this particular event. Lata Samu is here. Michael Ramos is over there taking photos. Edward Winslow is somewhere in the room. I saw him walking around. He works for the city of Madeira and has been incredibly helpful. And then the entire Inclusion Committee came out tonight to be helpful and help us get organized. So thank you to each of them too. And finally, I want to thank our host tonight from Madeira City Council, Ramsey, who, as I already told you, is not only did a great job tonight, we thank you for that, but he was one of our very first storytellers, and I still remember his story. And very shortly, in the next month, you're going to be able to go to the public library site and hear his story or any of the other storytellers from the last 6 or 7 events. So they'll all be online. So thanks again. Enjoy the food in the back, and we'll see you in about 2 months for our next event.
Really, say.